4 times a year, we get a behind-the-scenes glimpse into Etsy. They share all kinds of numbers and information with us. It's mostly geared towards investors, but every now and then you can pull little nuggets of information from them that are very useful to sellers. And that's exactly what we're doing in this episode of The Jam. What is up? I'm Gordon from Marmalade.
I'm Richie from Marmalade.
So, what are we talking about in the Jam today, Richie?
All right, today we are digging into Etsy's fourth quarter 2020 report that they just dropped. So we're gonna dig into that and we're gonna see what we expected, what we didn't expect, and just what that means to you as a seller.
Yeah, so right off the bat, they hit us with a pretty impressive looking chart that's showing GMS, which is gross merchandise sales. And no surprise, I mean, they did well in 2020 versus previous years. They're showing percent growth here year over year. And there's some not so surprising things in this chart, and there's some pretty surprising things in this chart. So things that aren't very surprising, obviously Q1 was down in 2020. That's not a big surprise. Historically, Etsy drops down in Q1 versus how they did the previous Q4 and Q3. I think it's due to the holidays and normal life cycle and things like that. So that's not a huge surprise. Also not surprising, Q2 was absolutely huge. They already shared these numbers with us in previous reports, but it's nice to look at the full year on things here. And so Q2 was absolutely huge. No one's going to be surprised by that. They know this was due a lot to mask sales that happened on the platform, which we're going to talk a little bit about later on. But no real big surprise here that Q2 is so enormous.
Yeah, and on the chart, I mean, they do show you what the without mask sales and with mask sales. Just really impressive nonetheless. For a company that's been growing, but yeah, this is definitely what they called an inflection point for Etsy.
That's really shown and illustrated here when you compare Etsy's growth versus other e-commerce platforms, right? Like this is, you would expect e-commerce to go up. People are staying home more and doing more of their shopping online and stuff like that. But Etsy's growth compared to the average e-commerce platform is fantastic. And I think that's why they're showing it here. If it wasn't impressive, they wouldn't show it. This is for investors. But yeah, it's amazing. 2.5 times they've outpaced the growth of e-commerce. That's insane.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And you know, those are, once you get someone to make the initial purchase, right? That's the hardest part. So they're also really working on keeping buyers coming back, right? Which leads us right into their next slide that we pulled out anyway. So yes, they're bringing a ton back in, but they've also reactivated, they call it reactivated, a whole bunch of buyers. So people that have bought before and now are coming back. And then just those buyers that have always stayed around. They made an account, they bought something on Etsy, they love it, and they just keep coming back. And Etsy's been investing in that for a long time now. That's really part of, I mean, it needs to be part of any business strategy, right? Not just have one customer one time and be done. You need people to come back, right? Stores and anyone else doesn't build a business on just a one-time sale.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other things that we're seeing here on these slides too, we should keep in mind is that Etsy shows that active buyers have grown 77% and active sellers has grown 64%. Well, you can do the simple math there, but basically the amount of buyers on the platform is outpacing the number of new sellers on the platform. So anybody who's been thinking like, oh man, Etsy's gotten so competitive, like I can't hack it on Etsy anymore. You've still got way more shoppers coming in. Etsy's still bringing people to the table. You're not in that position where, you know, there's more supply than demand. There's been a larger growth in shoppers than there has in buyers. And so for sellers, that's fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's really good news. Also, the trailing 12 months of gross merchandise sales per seller averaged $2,281. So as we were talking earlier, you noted that if you're making more than that, then you're above average for an Etsy seller. So
per year, yeah.
Per year, absolutely. And that's gross merchandise sales. That's not a profit. That's just straight sales.
So they've got a couple more charts further down here that are also pretty interesting. And we kind of want to pick on these charts a little bit here. And the first one they're talking about is the percent of purchases on the first page of search results. And they're showing that this has increased over time from Q1 of 2018 all the way through the end of 2020. It's increased from 77% to 86%. And that's the number of people who are making a purchase from that first page of search results. And at first glance, you're thinking like, well, this is insane. Like, people aren't shopping around. Are you telling me that people are just doing a search and boom, whatever shows up in the first 50 things on that first page, I'm just going to pick one of those and that's what I'm going with? You know, I'm not going to move around at all. That seems crazy. But when we really break this down here, there's a couple things to consider, right? This is purchases from the first page of search results. It doesn't tell us what number search this was. Someone might have done 12 searches, and then on the 12th search, when they've really honed in on what they're looking for, that's when they're ready to make their purchase off of the first page, right? Another thing to keep in mind with this too is it might not be accounting for the filter system on Etsy. If I do a search and I filter by something, and I want to see only things that are tan, right? Or only things in a certain price range, Etsy reshuffles the search results to match whatever my filter set is. So, and it pulls those things and they all look like they're going to be first page results. When I click the link, when you go there, Etsy thinks they're on the first page. They kind of are. Another thing to keep in mind with this too is this measuring Etsy's success or is this measuring the laziness of shoppers? Are people getting lazier and not wanting to move further down in search results? Like, oh gosh, now I'm on page 2, you're killing me here. Or is Etsy really getting better at delivering content? It's kind of one of those things that's maybe tough to measure. Maybe there's a better way of measuring it if that's what Etsy's indeed trying to figure out, is if their changes are being successful versus people just getting lazier.
Right. And I mean, the next chart here doesn't exactly shed more light on that question. It says that people continue to make meaningful progress in helping buyers find what they're looking for. And they're illustrating this with the chart that goes down and to the right. And this one is percent of purchase visits with a query reformulation, which apparently measures the percentage of purchase visits when a buyer updates a search query. So at first we were talking about this. We're like, what are they talking about here? Are they talking about, these are people that they don't update their search. They just jump on the site, they search one thing and they buy it? Because that would be kind of interesting. We don't really think that's what's happening though. We think they're changing, not doing different searches, but kind of like updating it.
Yeah. So example being, if I jump on Etsy and I search for Valentine's Day gift for wife, and then I see I'm not really looking to buy something at that point. I'm looking for ideas. It's an idea search, and Etsy's going to show me all kinds of different gifts that I'm trying to pick between. And from there, maybe I do a search for, heart-shaped scented candle. Okay. Because I've seen that in the search results from the first thing. And I'm like, oh, that's what I want. I want to get her a heart-shaped scented candle. So now I do that search. Well, that's not really updating my first search.
Right. Like we said, Etsy wants to see people show up, search for personalized navy blue golf club cover, and find exactly what they want. Now, that's someone that knows what they want. A lot of times you show up, you don't know what you want. If you're searching just like personalized gift, you don't know what you want. You're throwing an idea out there and it's more of a category. So they're not trying to satisfy shoppers who search personalized gift because they aren't looking for something specific. They're looking for ideas. It's a category. Hey, what are you here for? Hey, I'm buying something for my wife, right? It's completely different than showing up and like, oh yeah, I'm looking for this item number. Totally different.
A little further down in the report, they're talking about their use of the expected delivery date for shoppers on their platform. They're proud that they have this in there. It's something that they want front and center for their shoppers because they know people are coming to the platform and they want to get stuff within a certain time frame. This is kind of just a friendly reminder for you as an Etsy seller that you need to get your times down. You need to get your delivery times down, get your production times down. If you can keep more things in stock and inventory and ready to ship out the door, the better you're going to be for shoppers who have this sort of mindset.
Absolutely. And before you panic though, keep in mind that you're only competing on this with the other people in your space. So if you're saying, hey, I can't do this next day, I can't stock this, can't do this or that, well, great. If none of your competition can do that either, if none of the other things that your shopper is considering to purchase can ship it any faster, then you're fine.
Etsy talks some more about videos. Videos are still pretty new to the platform, but they've been pushing those pretty hard. In the last report, they told us they had 1.3 million videos already uploaded to the platform. As of Q4, they have 1.7 million videos uploaded. which is awesome. You know, they're making headway there. But the real big takeaway from this, sort of like the shipping one, is you need to keep this in mind as a seller. This could be a good opportunity for you to add a video to your products and your listings and be one of those few that have a video already on their product on the platform.
Right. And also, this is a really good time to start experimenting with your videos because no one else is really going to be great at this either. It's new to them. So your first video is not going to be as good as your 50th video. I don't care who you are. It's just not going to be the case. So right now, just the fact you have a video is pretty cool and it's a novelty. Later on, you might be expected to take better videos. Kind of like now you're expected to take better photos.
So this next one is a little tiny call out to text that they have on this one section of this one slide, but I think it's hugely important, and it's something as a seller that you definitely want to keep in mind and be aware of. Etsy says underneath search, they say that discovery, even when I don't have the words to describe them, is going to be extremely important to shoppers. Now, this is important, right? Historically on Etsy, you've always had to have the keywords that shoppers are using to find your listings. And Etsy is saying now, like, shoppers don't have to know the right words to use. We want shoppers to be able to discover what they're looking for without knowing the right words to use. Now, we just did a video with Kara Bunton almost on this exact same thing where we were talking about how Etsy has been expanding the number of products that they're showing in certain keyword searches. So that they're including things that like, oh, look, you search for mountain lion, but we're going to show you cougar stuff that doesn't have that mountain lion keyword term on it because we think it's related and we think you might be looking for it. You might not have known the word, but we're going to help you out here and show you this stuff. This, to me, the fact that this is in here suggests that they're going to be pulling that into more and more keywords. They're probably starting with keywords that don't have a whole lot of results to begin with and trying to bolster those results. They're going to play around there. They're going to hone their algorithm and make sure that it's doing as good of a job as it can to pull in things that people are going to go through and purchase. And they're going to want to bring that to more and more keywords on the platform. Does that mean that you don't have to have the right keywords on your listings anymore? No, absolutely not. You need to have those. But it does mean that what you should be doing regularly is checking into your keyword stats. And if you're getting views and visits from keywords that you don't have in your listing, put them on there.
Yeah. A quick note on keywords too is, as Etsy makes these improvements in, getting your stuff discovered and like it makes it smarter, like, okay, you're actually looking for this kind of thing. Keywords are what tells Etsy what your listing is about. So no matter how the shopper is kind of searching for it and what Etsy's doing behind the scenes there, trying to, okay, this search is the same as this search is the same as this search kind of thing. It's your listing keywords that actually tell Etsy that's what this listing is about. And without having good keywords on there, you'll never get thrown into that pile. I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning into the Jam by Marmalade. Marmalade helps guide you to keywords that real Etsy shoppers are using, so you can get more sales doing what you love. Check out Marmalade in the link in the description or at marmalade.com. Something else I think is really interesting, and it's really, we're always talking about the power of selling on the Etsy platform and why we think it's ultimately a really good thing for sellers, and it's a great opportunity. Well, they put this buyer life cycle in here, a slide about that, and it starts with acquisition, goes to activation and retention. And the really cool thing is it shows you, okay, as an Etsy seller, now you have access to this funnel that really only huge corporations have access to. It starts with TV ads. Now, who has national, international TV ads that's not a huge corporation? Nobody, right? So, but Etsy puts you basically in people's living rooms on TV ads, follows that up with promoted listing ads on different platforms like Google, Instagram, Pinterest, Bing search. They're all over social, both with the paid and with, just their own page and promotion. They send emails. And of course they have an app that, when you have that app downloaded, it is showing you more of the stuff you like. So as long as the buyer's on there, they are constantly going to be, notified, hey, holiday coming up. Hey, we think these are good picks for you. Editor's pick, stuff like that. Really stuff that's just keeping that buyer going. Now, for any of you who've tried to set this kind of thing up on your own site or something like that, I mean, even throwing the TV and stuff like that all out there, just managing, email lists with promotions, and then you start throwing ads on there, stuff like that. I mean, it's a lot. That's a lot of work, but Etsy's doing that for you, and we think that's really cool.
Yeah, and not only are they doing it for you, but they're doing it at no cost to you. You're not paying for their TV spots that they're taking out. You're not paying for the fact that they're advertising things on Google, unless you make a sale from it, and then they take a commission at that point. You're not paying for their efforts on social media, the emails that they send out, or the push notifications that are coming out of the Etsy shopping app. Those are all things that Etsy is doing to bring more boots to your shop and more eyes on your products, which is awesome.
And right along those lines, for ads, Etsy's pointing out the success of their ads. Now, 9% of the second half of 2020 gross merchandise sales, they say, earned an offsite ads fee for Etsy. What that means is that 9% of their gross merchandise sales came from offsite ads, which means they're working. I mean, that's pretty cool. So 9%. Now, the thing is, once those buyers come in, that's part of that kind of top of the funnel thing, right? Once they're a buyer, they're going to get the app or they're on the email list, whatever it is. They're in the Etsy ecosystem. They're going to be reminded to come back and shop on Etsy. Now they're Etsy buyers.
So that's kind of a run through of all of the things that have been 2020 looking. Now, at the end of their report, they also have some things where they're kind of looking forward into Q1 of 2021 and what their expectations are for Q1. Why don't you take us through their forecast, Richie?
Well, they are looking to put up some pretty impressive numbers. They're looking to put up between $2.9 billion and $3.1 billion in gross merchandise sales, which is quite a bit. And they're expecting that gross merchandise sales growth to be percentage-wise in the 115 to 125% range. Now, of course, they want to be as accurate as possible, but also really they want to beat these numbers because Wall Street freaks out if you miss them by even a little bit, and they go ecstatic when you beat them by even a little bit. So really, I'm thinking they want to at least be between 150 and 125% growth in that $2.9 to $3.1 billion range. What's impressive here is they are believing, they're staking their claim that their sales, it was not a fluke in 2020 that they sold as much as they did. They really, early on the presentation, they said, hey, we've reached an inflection point, not just in e-commerce, but with Etsy in general. And they are looking to keep this thing rolling forward and strong, which is fantastic. Not just a flash in the pan. They are believing this is going to be a continuing upward trend.
So there you guys go. There's kind of a whirlwind tour of the highlights that we found in Etsy's Q4 presentation from 2020. Hope you found some of that information useful and you can use it in your shop to take yourself to the next level in 2021.